On the news tonight, Ondo State government suspend caretaker chairman in local council areas. PDP National Working Committee disagrees with party executives in Ondo over state chairman suspension. Benue records 5 more deaths due to fresh Lassa fever outbreak. And from the foreign scene, no fewer than 103 persons die in Iran's twin explosions. Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us on the news at 7. I am Obi Chukwemeka Uti. The governor of Ondo State, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, has directed the caretaker chairman of the 18 local government areas and 33 local council development areas in the state to vacate their seats. The suspension is contained in a letter by Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs and signed by Alonge Adewale, sequel to the court order. It will be recalled that an Akura High Court, presided over by Justice Yemi Fasami, has granted an interim injunction filed by the opposition People's Democratic Party (PDP), which sought to restrain late Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu from inaugurating any person or persons not democratically elected as member or members of caretaker committees to administer the affairs of the local councils and the LCDAs pending the determination of the interlocutory injunction in the suit. Justice Fasami later barred the caretaker chairman from operating after they resumed office on the excuse that they had been sworn in before the order was granted. The letter asked the suspended caretaker chairman to submit without delay all assets and properties of their respective local government councils and local council development authorities. Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa says his late boss was a man of many parts, whose impact in the state and the country will remain indelible. Aiyedatiwa, who received in audience the Olubaka in council, led by Oba Adebori Adeleye, on a condolence visit, said all hands are on deck to celebrate the life and time of the former legal luminary. The governor solicited the support and cooperation of Okakoko community and its people for the present administration. Government House correspondent Wahab Bankole has details.
The Olubaka in Council was led to the governor's office by Oba Yusuf Adebori Adeleye on a condolence visit following the death of former governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu. The monarch, in his address titled "Uneasy Lies the Head That Wears the Crown," said death is a phenomenon and a terminal debt that must be paid by everyone. He described the death of the former governor as a huge loss.
Sorry for your loss, our loss, but the sun shall rise and shine again in Ondo State through you. Let's trudge on despite the odds, uneasy the heads that we are the crown. But true soldiers don't avoid battlefields. Let's brave the situation and together live the common dream of good governance, equity, justice, peace, and progress.
The monarch prayed for divine guidance for Governor Aiyedatiwa and pledged the support of Oka community and its people for the present administration. Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, who appreciated the people for the visit, said his late boss was a man of different parts to different people, noting that his impact will not be forgotten, not only in Ondo State, but the Southwest region and the country at large.
A man whose impact in Ondo State as a governor cannot be forgotten easily, especially in the area of security of lives and property. With the security architecture he pursued and established, not just in Ondo State, but the Southwest region of Nigeria, the Amotepo. And other initiative that he put in place to make life better for our people. A statesman, he believes in the true federalism and our constitution. Anytime policies are or decisions are to be made and policy rolled out, and he will not keep quiet if the right thing is not done, because he will speak, and when he speaks, the whole nation is always at attention. So he's a Nigerian to the core. I can only pray that God will grant his soul the rest.
Aiyedatiwa, who promised not to abandon the legacies of the deceased, said he will be sorely missed and celebrated.
It takes solace in this that he lived a purposeful life with all that he has been able to achieve while he was here on earth. And we cannot but also celebrate him because he died in service to humanity, especially the people of Ondo State, while in office as governor, the first of his kind in Ondo State. So he deserved a state burial, and that is exactly what we will give him.
The governor solicited the support of the people for his administration, reaffirming his passion to grow every sector of the state's economy while making life more abundant for residents. Wahab Bankole, Osrc News.
In the meantime, traditional rulers across Ondo State have been enjoined to continue to support the state government in the task of entrenching development at the grassroots. Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, who made the call, said the roles of the traditional institutions remain integral to the overall development of Nigeria. Aiyedatiwa posits that the Ondo State government will continue to accord traditional rulers a part of place to contribute their quota towards the development.
When you talk of peace and security in a particular state, the traditional institutions are very key because they dwell among the people, and you talk of grassroots mobilization. The traditional institutions, they are the best to do that. And it's only when you have the grassroots mobilization, you'll be able to know what they need at the grassroots through the KBCs. So it relates more at the closer range with people than those of us that are here at the capital city, at the seat of government. So we cannot but relate with you because you are partners in governance and in progress, in development. That is the way it should be. I remember when the budget is to be crafted, they have to do bottom up. They went to the whole community, interface with the rurals and the various stakeholders, so that we'll be able to know their need. And from there we can begin to make our budget so that the budget can have human face, because it's for the people, not for us. It's for everybody. And Ondo State is not just Akure, the capital city. Ondo State comprises of the entire 18 local government and 33 LCDAs. That is where the people are residing. Yes, we have rich population in Akure, but the over 4 or 5 million population we're talking about in Ondo State, they are not in Akure. They are spread all across the state. So we must interface with the traditional institutions to know their needs and their various local government and LCDs. So we are partners in progress, in peace, in development, in every way, because we cannot do much without relating with your institutions.
Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa speaking there. New year, new development within the camp of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in Ondo State, as the State Working Committee announced the suspension of the party's chairman, Mr. Fatai Adams. but that suspension has been met with an immediate disapproval by the National Working Committee of the party. While the State Working Committee hinged its decision on the powers drawn from the party's constitution, the national body also maintains that the state lacks such powers. Osrc Said Aribisala has more on the development and how the PDP intends to resolve the situation.
It is a new year that has brought forth with it a new development within the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in Ondo State. On 2nd of January 2024, 9 members of the State Working Committee assented to the suspension of the party's chairman, Mr. Fatai Adams, citing allegations of anti-party activities. It is the morning after the news of the suspension of the chairman of the People's Democratic Party in Ondo State, and right here at the headquarters of the party in the Alagbaka axis of Akura, the Ondo State capital, the gates to the premises is rather closed, an unusual situation to what you find in previous days. State Publicity Secretary of the party, Kennedy Perrottet, described the step as a surgical operation to put the party in a stance to win election in 2024.
If anybody says it's a long expected, well, maybe that's his best opinion. For us, it's just got to do with the circumstances. This is an election year for us, and all those things that probably not where they ought to be, the right places. We must do so. For me, this suspension is just a minor surgical operation that we needed to do to put the party in the frequency that will make us win elections. And amongst our ranks, amongst the PDP people across the state, you can gauge their mood.
Perrottet says the action follows the move by the suspended chairman to unduly impose a candidate for the Akoko Northeast, Akoko Northwest by-election.
I would believe it is for the health of the party. If you go for a surgery, it may be painful. That's why they have to apply anesthesia to make it less painful for you. But after the surgery, you may recover fully to a full vigor and health. That's what we have done for the party.
In his reaction, Fatai Adams declared his purported suspension motivated and unfounded. The suspension of Mr. Fatai Adams has, however, not gone down well with the party at the national level. The National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Mr. Debo Ologwagba, in a statement, said the National Working Committee of the party declared the suspension null and void. But the State Publicity Secretary says the statement appears personal.
When the National Publicity Secretary was trying to express his opinion, I responded by saying that what he had just said is his opinion, which is not the position of our party, constitutionally speaking. So we are in this, and we believe it is for the health of the party.
Former chairman of PDP in Ondo State, Ebenezer Alabi, wants adequate intervention to resolve the situation for the betterment of the party.
The constitution actually provided that at ward executive level, at local government executive level, at state executive level, they can exercise disciplinary action on members. There's no doubt about that one. The constitution says so. The same constitution now has another provision that says if you are a member of NEC, that is the National Executive Council, no other organ of the party can exercise disciplinary action on you. So it now depends on where you are placing the whole thing. But like I said, as one of the leaders of the party, my role is to participate in calling them, say what really happened. Let's even hear them out. What gave reason for that development? Why that suspension? What are the problems on ground? So it is now left for us to dissect it and see how we can resolve it amicably.
While the State Executive Council is scheduled to meet on 4th of January, approving or disproving the suspension will be on the cards. But the National Working Committee has enjoined all members in the state to remain united. Sahid Arabisala, Osrc News.
Now to the executive arm of government. The federal government has directed all ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, to remit 100% of their internally generated revenue RGR to the sub-recurrent account, a subcomponent of the Consolidated Revenue Fund. This, according to the government, is to improve revenue generation, fiscal discipline, accountability and transparency in the management of government's financial resources and prevent waste and inefficiencies. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edem, issued the directive in a circular to the MDAs. Consequently, the circular stated that the Office of Accountant General of the Federation shall open new Treasury Single Account (TSA) sub-accounts for all federal agencies, parastatals listed on the Schedule of Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007 and any additions by the Federal Ministry of Finance except where expressly exempted. The circular said all partially funded federal government agencies and parastatals receiving capital or overhead allocation from the budget will remit 50% of their gross IGR, while all statutory revenues should be remitted 100% to the sub-recurrent account. We'll go on this break. When we return, we'll serve you more stories. Join us again. You're welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 7, coming to you live from Osrc TV. You can also watch us live at www.osrc.ng or follow us on Facebook at Osrc TV, and on YouTube you can subscribe to our channel Osrc TV Ondo. Now to the rest of the news. Sadia Omar Farouk, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development under former President Muhammadu Buhari, has shunned detectives of Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) over alleged fraud to the tune of Naira. The former minister was invited last week by the Anti-Graft Agency following a probe that was launched into activities in the ministry when she held sway in the last 6 years. She is being probed over the sum of 37 billion naira that was allegedly laundered under her watch through a contractor, James Okwete. Officials of the Anti-Graft Agency confirmed that the former minister did not appear before the interrogators at the EFCC headquarters located at Jabi, Abuja. The operatives explained that some other officials who worked with her had equally been invited for different days in order to provide an insight into how the affairs of the ministry were run in the last 6 years. The National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, has applauded the federal government over the suspension of the evaluation and accreditation of degree certificates obtained from institutions in Benin Republic and Togo. To this end, the student body called on the government to extend its sanction to tertiary institutions operating in Nigeria who are offering courses without accreditation from relevant authorities. According to NANS National Senate President Elvis Ekudina, the federal government should commence investigations into the activities of the Federal Ministry of Education, National Universities Commission, National Youth Service Corps, and other agencies fingered in the fraudulent activities of obtaining degree certificates from foreign universities. He called on the federal government to collaborate with NANS and other student bodies to rid the country of illegal tertiary institutions towards repositioning the education sector. In the same vein, an Islamic human rights organization, the Muslim Rights Concern MURIC, has lauded the federal government for suspending the accreditation of degrees obtained from universities in the Republic of Benin and Republic of Togo. The suspension of the evaluation and recognition of degrees from the two neighboring countries followed an investigative report by a reporter who obtained a degree in 1 week and participated in the mandatory one-year National Youth Service Corps NYSC scheme. MURIC President Ishaq Akintola, in a statement, lauded the government for banning those fraudulent certificates, as holders of such fake credentials pose grave danger to the lives of Nigerians and the quality of public service too. Professor Akintola explained that those found to have been employed with them should be shown the way out, suggesting that security agencies should fish out those behind the fraudulent admissions within Nigeria. Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum has petitioned President Bola Tinubu on urgent steps to restructure Nigeria for true federalism. The body said it has become expedient and instructive to legitimize multi-level policing for states and communities to provide security for their people. The letter by Edwin Clark, Ayo Adebanjo, Emmanuel Iwanyanwu, Poju Beatrice, and Emmanuel Ibok Essien insisted that only restructuring could stop the bloodletting on the plateau. The group called on the federal government to hold an honest and truthful security inquiry to determine communities wherein the original inhabitants have been displaced in the last 2 decades and enforce the immediate return and resettlement of the people in their ancestral homes. It also urged the government to close all IDP camps to end the policy of building such refugee camps for indigenous peoples while their ancestral homes are allowed to be occupied by security agencies. Now to Kebbi State, where government has commenced the training of 2,400 primary school teachers in the use of English language, mathematics, and pedagogical skills. Declaring the training open at the Waziri Umar Federal Polytechnic, Berlin Kebbi, Governor Nasir Idris said his administration was determined to revolutionize the state's education sector. He urged teachers, parents, and other stakeholders to join hands with his administration to move the education sector forward. The chairman, Kebbi State Universal Basic Education Board, Professor Sulaiman Khalid, said the training would run for 2 weeks and participants will be trained in English language, mathematics, and pedagogical skills. 5 deaths have been recorded at Benue State University Teaching Hospital and Kodi due to suspected Lassa fever cases in the state. The outbreak came over a few weeks after certain individuals reportedly imported live rats into the state for sale from other northern states where rats are not delicacies. The chief medical director of the hospital, Dr. Stephen Wande, said of the 5 deaths, only 3 were confirmed Lassa fever cases, as 2 others were not confirmed before they died. Dr. Wande added that 5 others cases have been isolated, with 1 of them returning positive. He advised the people to keep their surroundings clean and stop the habit of drying their foodstuffs where rodents could feast and defecate on them. Moving on to the foreign scene, at least 103 people have been killed by 2 bomb explosions near the tomb of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani on the 4th anniversary of his assassination by the U.S. State broadcaster Irib said dozens more people were injured when the blast hit a procession near the Sahib al-Zaman Mosque on the southern city of Kerman. The broadcaster cited Kerman's deputy governor as saying it was a terrorist attack. It was not clear who was behind the explosions, and there were no immediate claims from any group. In the meantime, Israel has insisted assassination of a Hamas leader in Beirut was not an attack on Lebanon, as its enemies warned of punishment for his death. An Israeli spokesman said Saleh al-Aruri had died in a surgical strike against the Hamas leadership. Hamas condemned the death, while its ally Hezbollah said it was an assault on Lebanese sovereignty. Aderonke Kolawole has detail.
An Israeli drone strike killed a senior Hamas leader in Beirut Tuesday night. Salah al-Aruri was a member of Hamas political bureau and a co-founder of its military wing. His killing marks the false assassination of a Hamas official outside Palestinian territory since the group's deadly assault on Israeli territory on October 7 and could signal the conflict between Hamas and Israel is expanding. In response to question, the Israeli military said the assassination of a Hamas leader in Beirut was not an attack on Lebanon. Lebanon's national news agency said the drone struck a Hamas office. Two security sources said it has targeted a meeting and left several people dead, including Palestinians and Lebanese. Protests broke out in the West Bank following the attack. Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati called the strike a new Israeli crime and said it was an attempt to pull Lebanon into war. His office said he asked Lebanon's foreign minister to file a complaint to the United Nations Security Council. A spokesperson for the UN Secretary General called the strike extremely worrying.
Because of the escalating tensions and the fragility of the situation in the region, we are calling for maximum restraint from all parties. We don't want any rash actions that could trigger further violence.
Hezbollah has been exchanging near-daily fire with Israel across Lebanon's southern frontier since Hamas' attack in October. Israeli airstrikes and shelling have killed more than 100 Hezbollah fighters and nearly 24 civilians since then. In a written statement, Hezbollah said the attack will not go without a response or punishment. It announced an attack on Israeli forces across the border, but did not specify whether it was in response to Harari's killing. In Gaza, Palestinians' health officials say the death toll has surpassed 22,000. Adirunke Kolawole, Osrc News.
Now to sports. Sebastian Broderick's Maswell, who led the Golden Eagles to win the inaugural Under-17 World Cup in 1985, is dead. The late Nigerian coach was on life support at the University of Benin Teaching Hospital for over a year. Broderick's Maswell has been diagnosed with stroke and had been receiving treatment before he took his last breath. After the Under-17 World Cup in China, he led the team again 2 years later to Canada and got to the final before losing through a penalty shootout to the then Soviet Union. May his soul rest in peace. And that's the news tonight. Just before we go, another look at the major stories. We told you that the governor of Ondo State, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, has directed the caretaker chairman over 18 local government areas and 33 local council development areas in the state to vacate their seats. The suspension is sequel to a court order and contained in a letter by the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. PDP National Working Committee and the party executives in Ondo State have traded words over the suspension of a state chairman, Fatai Adams. 5 more deaths have been recorded at the Benue State University Teaching Hospital, Makurdi, due to fresh cases of Lassa fever in the state. And from the foreign scene, we told you that at least 103 people have been reportedly killed at the event marking the 4th anniversary of Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps General Qasem Soleimani. And that's the news tonight. Many thanks for your time. Good evening.